Hi guys, welcome back to another video. In this video I want to talk about how to set up a Java development environment on your operating system. I'm using Windows to demonstrate that, but essentially the installation process remains same for other operating systems as well. So let's take a look. I want to start with installing uh, an IDE for Java. I'm going to use IntelliJ, and you can use Eclipse or I guess Visual Studio Code as well, but in this video I'm going to walk through how can we set up IntelliJ for Java development, right? So let's go to the website called jetbrains.com. So JetBrains is the provider of IntelliJ. JetBrains develop a lot of IDEs for different languages, and for Java they have IntelliJ. Right, so let's find IntelliJ from here. So I think it's developer tools, maybe. Okay, right here. So IntelliJ IDEA, let's click on download. And as soon as we click on download, we see two versions. Download an ultimate version and a community version. Ultimate version, is free only for 30 days. So we're not going to use that because community version does a lot of things out of the box, and in most of the uh, projects, the community version is good for you if you're just developing for Java. I think Ultimate is good if you are trying to develop for JavaScript or TypeScript as well. And there is a entire comparison list between Ultimate and Community Edition. See, so we are going to stick with the free version, and this is a Windows version. Similarly, there is a Mac um, IntelliJ version and a Linux IntelliJ version. The process still stays same, and whichever platform you are on, you just have to click download under community version. So let's click on download, and it's going to download the exe file. Very standard Windows downloading process of any software. And as soon as it gets downloaded, we're going to double click and open it, and let's see, let's run it. And I don't need that, I'll close that. Okay, I'm just installing IntelliJ, very standard process, and boring too, if because there's nothing new or fancy. And now I'm going to install a bunch of libraries for us, right? We don't need to do any action, so I'll fast forward this video and until this complete. Windows is done installing IntelliJ for us. I'm going to click the run IntelliJ community edition, click on finish, and now it's going to run IntelliJ as well because the installation has been completed. Yes, accept, continue, don't send. We'll just wait for IntelliJ to boot up. Um, and here we go. So this is the kind of welcome screen. You can see there is a new project. You can click on it to start creating a project. You can open existing one, or you can get project from the version control system, whether it's a Git or some other version control system. You can customize it. You can install different plugins. So you can see there are different plugins. Plugin for AWS, if you're working with AWS services, this plugin is very handy. There are different themes which we're going to look in a different video that you can install. Right, so I'll go back to projects and simply create a new project, and I click on that. Let's see, so we see different option. I see Java, Maven, Gradle. So Maven and Gradle is basically I would say package manager. So if you are coming from a front end world, you'll there in Node there is npm package manager, there is a yarn package manager, right, which helps you to install different packages from the internet, right? Similarly, Maven is one of the package manager for Java. Gradle is the newest one, right? They both have a different syntax, so you can use either one of them. and then there is Android, and for Kotlin language there is if you are creating a Kotlin project, you can choose that, right? So Maven is something quite popular, if because every Java project is going to be a Mavenized. You need to have a file where you are keeping all the dependencies. So I'm going to select Maven, and you can see on the right hand side says no SDK. So let's take a look what SDK is. Java. So let's head to whiteboard and understand different Java and JDK versions. Um, so before Java 8, there used to be a release every 2 or 3 years, but after Java 8, as soon as Java 9 came along, there is a new Java release for every 6 months, right? So in every 6 months, there's a new Java version out there, and with that, there's a new JDK version as well, right? So just to have an idea what JDK is, JDK, if you remember, before Java 8 world, there used to be JDK and JRE, and you can download each one of them separately because they used to serve different purposes, right? So Java JDK is a Java development kit, just like SDK. It's a development kit for Java specifically. It contains a Java compiler, Java debugger, Java doc for the Java code base. So if you are using Java utilities like any library, right, you can simply control click on that and go inside the implementation detail of that. That's all coming from JDK, right? When you are compiling your code, there's a Java compiler running behind. That's all being served by JDK. So JDK is actually the entire collection of libraries for you that do a lot of work out of the box to compile the classes we are writing and giving us other functionalities like Java doc and JDebug, Java debug, etc. Right. So the thing that I was mentioning earlier, that before the way Java release were going, right? So um, I think Java 8 got released on March 2014, right? And before that, the timeline was every 2 to 3 years there used to be a Java version, right? So I think Java 5 before that was 2011, maybe 3 years ago. But since after Java 8, the next Java, which was Java 9, came in. I guess it was 9/17, so September 2017, right? And then after Java 9, every 6 months there was a new Java release, right? So 3/18 there was Java 10, and October, it's like 9 months, right? So 6 months. So September 18 there was Java 11. Then again in March next year Java 12, and then Java 13, 9/20, Java 15 came, which is the latest Java, right? And in March 2021 Java 16 is scheduled to release, right? So you can see, from this point of time, after Java 9 we are getting a new release every 6 months of Java, right? So right now we are on Java 15, and by end of March hopefully there's going to be a new Java version, right? So you will see there's a JDK for, similarly, when there a new Java version gets released, we get a new JDK 1.9, not 1.9 because the versioning has been changed, right? So before Java 9, the versioning was 1.8, and Java 5 was 1.5, 1.3 for Java 3, right? But after Java 9, the versioning scheme has been changed, and we are not using 1.9, is simply JDK 9. And so Java 9, JDK 9, JDK 10, JDK 11, and so on. You get the idea, right? Now similarly JDK 15, right? But for Java 8 it was 1.8, right? So whenever you see someone talking about Java 1.8, they are actually talking about Java 8, right? It's just confusion between versioning scheme. So alright guys, at this point we can head back to IntelliJ. So let's see what we have in drop down. We don't have an JDK yet. We can either download JDK from internet, or we can add a JDK if we have already downloaded it. Since we haven't done that, let's do a download JDK. And now IntelliJ is saying which version you want, right? So as you've seen, in previous video, there were different version. So there is a JDK 15, which is the latest, JDK 14, 13, 11, and as we were talking before, for Java 8 there is a 1.8, because difference in versioning mechanism, well, for Java 8 specifically, or before versions before that. And there are different providers of JDK, right? So there is Oracle that supplies JDK, and then there is Amazon, and there are other versions as well. I'm just going to stay with default Oracle OpenJDK. The location looks fine, and I hit download. So you can see installing JDK 15 for us, unpacking and everything. So the alternative is we can go to Oracle OpenJDK website, download the JDK manually, unpack it, and then refer it. I like this path because now we are just clicking a couple of buttons and then IDE itself, and let IntelliJ taking care of downloading and unpacking the JDK version, right? And then I'm going to click next at the bottom. Here it is asking me what is the name of your project. I'll say let's say introduction. Okay, and I'll click finish. So now you can we can see that at the bottom right, it's trying to install all the libraries. This is the first time we are opening a project in IntelliJ, so it's kind of indexing everything for us. It's going to take a little bit of time there. And so let's look at the project structure. Well, let's look at this POM file that's on the screen right now. So if you are coming from a front end world where we have a package.json, right, where we keep all the dependencies. Similarly, pom.xml is a file where we keep all the dependencies for a Java project, right? So if you have to install a new dependency, you'll say dependency, then C, and then you close depend. I think I mistyped it, dependency, right? So then you provide a dependency here, group ID, artifact ID. That way you have that library installed locally, so you can use that library, right? So just say similarly we do in package.json, we provide the library in the package.json, then we do npm install, and then that library becomes available for us, right? So that's how we're going to use this file to define the dependencies. Compiler source is 15, target is 15. That means we are writing our source code in 15, Java 15, and we are compiling it in Java 15, right? And the introduction is the artifact ID, the name that we gave while we were creating the project, and this is a kind of default org.example group ID. So that's pretty vanilla. pom.xml, we haven't changed anything here yet, and I think IntelliJ has done indexing everything. So now we can open our project called introduction. There is an IDEA file that's IntelliJ generated. We don't need to change that or worry about that at this point of time. Similarly, IML file is again IntelliJ generated file. Let's look at source, where most of the action going to happen. There are two folders, main and test. Main is where we going to write all our Java classes inside Java folder, and test is where we're going to write all the test cases for our Java classes, right? And resources where you kind of store static images, static files and stuff like that. Basically they are resources, so very apt name for that. So let's create a file right here. I'm going to right click and do new and do a Java class, and I'll say hello world. Can't be a better name than hello world for the very first program. So we'll say hello world, and you can see a hello world class created. C stands for class, right? So in IDE. All right. So if in Node.js or other front end world, we always say we always give a starting point in our package JSON. We says npm start index.js or whatever file we want to start up with, right? Similarly, in Java, we need to have a file that has a main method in it, and that main method is going to be the starting point, right? So what I'm trying to say is, if we have to write a main method, right? Something like that. That is going to be a starting point of the entire application, right? So, and just a small cool intelligent trick, that instead of writing entire public static void main, you can do psvm and press enter, and it's going to write public static void main for you. um, so down the road we're going to have a very big a lot of classes in here and all that, but whenever we're going to start our program, it's going to come here first, right? That is the very first point that it hits. So let's print out something simple. System dot out dot print, and we'll just say hello world, right? We're just printing out something on the console. I'm going to save it. And how should I run it, right? So we can see these two green buttons, kind of a play button. We can simply click on that and say run hello world.main, and you can see at the bottom IntelliJ is saying IntelliJ is building something. So when we downloaded JDK, JDK contains a Java compiler. So that compiler is first going to compile our code into a bytecode, and then that bytecode is going to be further used to print out hello world or something, right? So that's what IntelliJ was doing. It's building generating a compiled code for us, and then it ran that code and that bytecode and generated hello world in the output, right? So pretty simple. We simply created a hello world class, created a main method inside it, and printed something on the console. Right now we can see hello world, could be any string, doesn't matter. But so that's it for this video, guys. I hope you liked it, and the next video I'm going to discuss the customization of the IntelliJ IDE and make it look like a little cool. So let's see how that goes. Stay tuned for more updates like that. Thank you.